Hello and welcome, my dear friend. Let me begin with this truth. When God is on your side, it doesn't mean He storms through life hurting those who hurt you. It means He shields what He treasures. He guards what carries His breath, and that's you. God has just stood up for you, not out of anger, but out of recognition, because what you carry is too sacred to be treated casually any longer. What you may not realize is how unusual your spirit really is. You downplay it, thinking anyone would have done the same. But not everyone would have chosen honesty when lying would have been easier. Not everyone would have extended compassion when bitterness felt justified. Not everyone would have kept the ember of hope alive when the evidence screamed otherwise. Those choices you made, the ones you thought went unnoticed, heaven recorded every one of them. The quiet nights where you prayed without needing an audience, the days you lifted someone else even when your own strength was running low, the silent decisions to keep your integrity even when no one was watching. Those were not just little moments. They were proof of who you really are. And do you know how rare that is? To still have a soft heart in a world that rewards hardness? To still care deeply when it would have been easier to go numb? To still walk with reverence even though others mock it? That is rare, and God values it more than you know. It's like a diamond lying unnoticed in the dust. Most people will pass it by, step over it, maybe even kick it aside without realizing what's under their feet. But the one who knows its worth bends down, lifts it carefully, and holds it close. That's what God has done with you. While others missed it, He recognized it. And maybe you haven't always felt like a diamond. Maybe you felt more like a stone that got buried under layers of dirt. Life piling on, disappointment pressing down, other people's voices muting your own. But the one who placed you there never lost sight of you. He was watching over the roots, over the hidden process, long before anything was visible above ground. That's why He's standing now, not because you demanded attention, but because your consistency in the unseen has spoken louder than any words could. You may look at your life and think, but what's special about me? I get tired, I have doubts, I'm not perfect. And yet, those imperfections don't cancel your value. They magnify it. Because even through the weariness, you still chose to show up with kindness. Even through the doubt, you still leaned toward faith. Even in imperfection, you still tried to love purely. That is what sets you apart. And I want you to hear this clearly. You're not easy to replace. There aren't endless copies of souls like yours walking the earth. You are rare inventory in the hands of God. That's why His presence moves so strongly around you. It's His way of saying, this one matters to me. I know it hasn't always felt like that. There were days when silence seemed louder than support, seasons when you wondered if any of it had weight beyond your own four walls. You kept moving, but in your heart you questioned, does any of this even count? And the answer is yes. Every unseen choice, every moment you carried more than your share, every time you showed love, even when it left you empty, it all counted. You thought you were just surviving. Heaven knew you were being refined. This is why God is standing for you, not to make a spectacle, but to acknowledge, before the eyes of creation, that what you carry is His, that your life is not random, that your way of being in this world has meaning far beyond what you've been able to measure. And I want you to take this in, not as pressure but as recognition. You're not just another person. You're not replaceable, ordinary, or forgettable. You're rare, you're valuable, you are seen. And when God stands for someone like that, it isn't to announce a timeline or to satisfy curiosity. It's to affirm what has always been true, even when you doubted it yourself. So let your heart settle with this. Heaven has already decided your worth. The noise of people can't redefine it. The silence of years can't erase it. God has stood up for you, not as a sudden reaction, but as an eternal reminder that you belong to Him. When heaven places its hand on you, the world feels it, even if they can't explain it. That's why people sometimes respond to you in ways that don't make sense. It's not your tone of voice or your personality. It's the invisible authority of God's choice resting on your life. Some people sense it as warmth. They feel safe around you, even when you haven't said a word. They know you carry something steady, something they can lean on. But others feel it as a mirror. Being near you reminds them of what they've avoided, the compromises they've made, or the places they refuse to grow. And instead of admitting that, they push back against you. It's like sitting at a table with two kinds of people. One will lean in, curious and open, because your presence awakens something hopeful in them. The other will shift in their chair, uncomfortable, because your very being challenges what they've settled for. Same table, same presence. Two very different reactions. And you've lived that. You've seen how someone can admire you in one season and distance themselves in the next. You've experienced people being drawn to you for your strength, only to later resent the same strength when it reveals their weakness. That whiplash isn't because you're unstable, it's because you carry a weight they can't ignore. This is why your journey has felt so different. You were never designed to blend in. Blending in would have meant dimming the very qualities God placed in you to stand out, and deep down, you've always known it. You've felt the tension of trying to move quietly, while your spirit refused to shrink. And yes, that tension has been heavy. To walk through life constantly aware that you don't fit neatly into categories. To watch people misunderstand your motives, not because you were unclear, but because your spirit revealed more than they wanted to see. That's not failure, that's confirmation. Because the truth is, chosen ones disrupt patterns simply by being present. Without effort, without trying, you unsettle the spaces that thrive on comfort and compromise. And that disruption can feel like resistance. But it's not resistance against you, it's resistance against the mark of God you carry. Let me say it another way. Imagine a pianist striking a note on a piano. If the room is silent, the note fills the air with ease. But if the room is already crowded with noise, that same note cuts sharply, demanding attention. You are that note. Some hear harmony, others hear interruption. But either way, you cannot be ignored. That's why you've been through seasons of being misread, mislabeled, or even quietly pushed aside. Not because you lacked value, but because your value was too confronting for those who preferred the noise. And this is why heaven's recognition of you matters so much. You don't have to spend your life defending yourself against false impressions. You don't have to waste energy trying to explain what only God can reveal. The proof of who you are will outlast every misunderstanding. It's important you remember this because the weight of misunderstanding can be tempting to carry. You might feel the urge to argue back, to prove your innocence, to justify your decisions. But your life, over time, will be the clearest argument you'll ever make. God Himself has already settled the verdict, and nothing people say will override it. That's why you don't need to walk as if you're fragile or temporary. You're not a guest in this world. You are a placement, a planting. Your roots run deeper than opinions, and your worth is anchored beyond recognition. And here's the beauty of it. You don't need to force anyone to understand you. Those who are meant to align with you will feel it. Those who aren't will reveal themselves by their discomfort. Either way, you remain steady. So if you felt the sting of being left out, misunderstood, or resisted, let this sink in. It was never about your lack. It was about the weight you carry. That's why your presence unsettles the ordinary. It doesn't fit common patterns. And you are rare. Walk forward with that awareness, not with pride, but with quiet certainty, because the one who sees your worth has already made his stance clear. And when heaven has spoken, the world can wrestle with it, but it cannot erase it. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If you found value in this message, please like the video and share it with others who might benefit. Don't forget to subscribe and continue your amazing journey by watching one of the videos showing on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there.